Tommy's gonna taste the gin so that you don't have to. Let you save your money, yeah, that's what Tommy wants. Minimal dilution, cause we wanna taste the gins. But if the gins are bad, then we will throw them in the bin. Now let's hand it over to Tommy, who is gonna taste. He's gonna get all rowdy and shout up the place.
Hello and welcome back to Tommy Tastes, the channel where I taste the gin so that you don't have to. And this week, trying something extra special, it is the turn of prototype gin. A gin that is indeed a prototype in some respects, I guess. So what is it that makes this gin special? This is a London-New York collaboration where some of the botanicals are foraged kind of local to London, but with a little bit of a New York twist. It comes with a little bit of honey in the distillation process, not post-distillation maceration, that is added, and these bees work on the New York High Line. So, what will the honey bring to the gin? Who knows? I actually haven't really had any honey gins, other than ones that use like a nasty post-distillation maceration thing, and the flavour is just horrible. Also, I should point out, it might not be fair for me to judge this gin on the basis that I fucking hate honey. Don't ask me why. However, it gives me this feeling, like I have now, of having a cold and being all mucusy. So it doesn't really work for me. Don't worry, I have tried this gin already when I didn't have a cold, so I can tell you exactly why the gin is good, because my taste buds were good at the time. If, however, it tastes like a Cadbury's Crunchy, then we're quids in. So, sorry, you probably don't have a Cadbury's Crunchy in New York, but you're missing out big time. Forget about all that Hershey's wank that America calls chocolate. What other botanicals does this have in it? It's a little bit secretive. Basically, it's a blend of different herbs, spices, not dissimilar to KFC. And then you've got your typical like meadow flowers, bit of citrus zest, cumin. So I think what we're going for here is really the classic gin, but with the honey twist. Ooh, sugar puffs, here we come. Not much more to say about the gin really, other than this comes from a young startup firm and this is their first venture into gin. It's 40%, so a little bit limp-wristed in terms of the ABV there. Would like to see that being pushed up a little bit. So think we could have some similar problems to what we had with, say, Brooklyn gin. A gin from the same city, whereby it was a fantastic take on classic and I really liked what it was, but it just lacked the power to really be a perfect gin. Let's get it in a glass and have a little taste.
Hey, I'm walking here!
And more bad New York accents to follow. So I've poured out a little bit of prototype gin there, as you can see, nice clean spirit. They do say that it's actually made to be drunk neat or with ice. You can put a twist of lemon in there if you like to kind of highlight the botanicals, a little bit of juniper potentially. Don't really get the putting juniper berries in gin thing, but hey, if you want it in a pretty glass, go ahead and do it. Let's get our nose in the glass and have a good old sniff.
Oh boy, that new prototype gin is really hot. I think I'm gonna have some of this in my morning coffee.
The good news is I'm not really finding any of those honeyed notes in there. Nothing that particularly reminds me of opening up like a jar of expensive bee mucus. More what I get is like nice kind of sweet aromas. So I think the honey is actually like boosting the zestiness and maybe like the sweetness of the other spices and floral kind of flavors within there. It is very floral. It's got nice spicy notes. It's very much juniper forward. So we're going for another classic take on gin, similar to Brooklyn. In fact, the nose of this compared to Brooklyn is actually quite similar, but kind of dialed down on the citrus front. But it's bold, it's got really good kind of pronounced notes, despite the fact that it's only 40%. I really like the nose on this gin, so let's see if that follows through on the palate.
Cool, blimey, I ain't half put my back out drinking this gin. Fucking hell. And more bad accents will follow from London.
Yes, it does. I really like this gin. It's really classic, super clean. The botanicals are really well isolated. They've obviously used some really pure water in the distillation process. The honey doesn't really jump out at me, I have to say. Not quite sure why the honey's such a big marketing thing for them, because it just does a great job of being classic. Really nice citrus notes, juniper, spice, it's all there. It's all really nice, very harmonious. The 40% doesn't suffer at this point in time. However, I think it's time that we get some ice in the glass and see how that affects things. So let's go for a little bit of ice and taste.
Who is this muggy fella drinking all the gin? Is I right, James Blunt or Jeremy Hunt or similar?
The ice actually doesn't really do a lot to change the flavour. It makes it taste really nice for sure, but there's nothing about it that really differs from the neat serve. I think I actually prefer the neat serve based on just kind of how well it already worked. And I think it's probably because they've put it down to 40%, it's kind of at a drinking level where when you add ice, obviously more dilution comes in and maybe just makes the whole thing a little weaker. This is not to say that it's bad, I just preferred it neat, like I did with Brooklyn. Let's get just a little more gin in there because I didn't use an awful lot to begin with. And then just a splash of tonic, and we'll see how that works.
Hey buddy, I like this gin so much, I'm thinking of having it paired with my Waldorf salad.
This is nice, don't get me wrong, but it could be anything at this point in time. It's a classic gin, and it's a classic gin once it's diluted enough, although you can tell that it's definite quality, it's clean, it's really nice on the finish. I don't know that I'm drinking the prototype that I really enjoyed in the beginning. Very pleasant gin, but it doesn't stand up to dilution, and that is such a fucking bummer for me.
Hey, how about we make a prototype gin pizza pie?
So prototype gin, I think it's safe to say I'm a fan, and I'm a fan in exactly the same way that I was of Brooklyn gin. Really good, really well thought out spirit with really nice classic notes of gin. But you gotta up your ABV. It's gotta be somewhere between 43-47%. It will boost your classic gin into the stratosphere, I promise you. On the back of this bottle, I'm not actually sure kind of how developed the gin is at this point in time, given that I'm drinking the first batch. It says that I can actually message them with ideas for different flavours. I don't think it needs a different flavour. I think they've got the flavour completely right. The botanical balance on this is phenomenal. Just please don't dilute it that much. 43% would be great, 47 would be better, and that way you can compete with the Tanqueray 10s of the world and the Beefeater Crown Jewel. I can't think of anything better than taking on the big boys at their own game, and Prototype, I think you have the potential to do this. Your gin is great, but just don't dilute it, please. This is hefty in terms of price. Currently, we are just looking at a limited run of first batch distillations, so I'm not even going to quote the price here because it's expensive. My hope is that when they continually distill this, it will lower the cost of each bottle. And is it worth buying? 100%. It is really, really good, really nice gin, particularly if it comes in at a ballpark figure around the Tanqueray 10 mark, therefore somewhere in the region of 30 to 35 pounds. I think that this is really, really nice and could probably beat Tanqueray in that price point. Just give it a while and see what happens. But keep it on your radar. Prototype gin, you've prototyped me. What does that mean?
Yeah, like and subscribe, girl. Like and subscribe. What? Like and subscribe. Work it out.